And welcome, everybody, to the Daily Space Weather Show, coming at you once again from the Smash News Network, least busted name of news, just bringing you the most comprehensive daily space weather content and detailed solar imagery you'll find in the known universe. Plenty to cover today, a little uptick in sunspot number, and in X-ray flaring activity. Let's add 131 angstroms to the 171 angstroms and take a little tour of the most active region, which is up there in the northeastern limb. Now, two new complex sunspot groups have formed up there. Here's a little closer view. These are 24-hour videos from the Solar Dynamics Observatory. A fantastic filamentary suspension happening there, and then coronal mass ejections occurring. We'll get to it. What's that I hear? That's not a close enough view. All right, here's a even closer shot. Some M-class flares mixed in there over the past 24 hours. And let's take a brief look at sunspots. So here we have December 5th and December 6th to date. A little bit of sunspot growth in the south central region. Some sunspot growth in the northeastern region. Besides that, mostly stable. Here is the colorized magnetogram for December 5th and December 6th to date. And the following are paid endorsements. By the way, thanks to our new YouTube subscribers, etc. Thanks to everybody who's tuned into the content. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. We're frankly surprised that you've been able to find the channel. You may visit us on our homepage, if you like, at smashomash.com. And welcome to the Video Renaissance. Congratulations once again on realizing the channel exists. You can find us all over social media. You can find original music there. Links to the merch shop, links to our paid affiliates. So again, the following are paid sponsorships. First is our Amazon.com/shop/Smashomash, our Amazon storefront. So today's featured product on there is the King Kamea Hawaiian shirt. The gloomier it gets and the darker it gets throughout the year, the brighter you ought to dress. So when you're going to space, make sure you visit our space weather collection at Amazon.com/shop/Smashomash and perhaps pick up one of the fantastic Hawaiian shirts from our collection. That one is one that I do personally own. If it's gloomy, if it's approaching the solstice, especially the winter solstice, make sure you dress brightly. Help to curb your seasonal affective disorder with some bright colored clothing. You may also find our Hemp Lucid shop linked below this video. Or if you're just shopping at hemplucid.com, don't forget to enter the promo code SMASHOMASH10 to save 10% on checkout. Save some dough on your THC-free products there, your Delta 8s, your CBD tinctures, your mushroom gummies, your body balms and lip balms, your stress immune, sleep, and other stacks. So lots of different options there. Again, enter the promo code SMASHOMASH10 to save 10% on checkout. Links below the video. Or just use that promo code. Also, don't forget to get involved with the channel if you want to ask a particle physicist a question. We've done 2 so far, and another one coming. Let's see. It becomes due tomorrow morning, so the deadline is tonight for our Ask a Particle Physicist segment. You want to ask a particle physicist a question? Just visit us over on smashomash.com/forum. And don't forget to subscribe to our Particle Physicist channel, Eugene the Philosopher. So all kinds of videos about various things there, not all about science, some about just general stuff. Planning on doing another video with Eugene on Sunday as well. So again, get involved. Visit us over at smashomash.com/forum. Just head to the General Science Forum and click Ask a Particle Physicist. And you too can ask a particle physicist a question. Today's featured product on the merch shop is the Do the Math product. And we are delighted that some people are just so out of gas that they're kind of like a Tesla orbiting Mars, right? That's how out of gas some of these people are about talking about ridiculous ideas about theories about space and so on. There are so many cults, folks, so many cults. And one of them is the space nonsense cult. And of course, we do indeed invite all of the cultists, regardless of which cult you're in, to do the math. Let's show the work. 8 equals capital D. We hope you don't suck at the math. Please do the math. When you want something right, do it yourself. Do the math and don't trust confident-sounding charlatans about science. It's just grotesque and pathetic. Save up to 40% site-wide at Redbubble. Encourage your friends and foes to do their own research. Don't take my word for it. Do the math instead. You can become a member of the Smash Team at smashomash.com/Smash Team. You want some additional content? Well, become a member. You'll get email alerts and lots more. And some changes coming at smashomash.com/Smash Team, I might add. Press refresh, click the post button. Thanks especially to our gold and silver level Smash Team members. And let's get to volcanoes. Nothing going on at the Reykjanes Peninsula. No eruptions happening there. However, there are lots of volcanoes erupting. So here's the list. A brief rundown. And by the way, there could be satanic rituals going on at Iwo Jima, as we have comprised dark black masses there. Black masses occurring at Iwo Jima. Perhaps people worshiping Satan. Although it's probably just dark-colored volcanic gas. Anyway, Iwo Jima continues to be active. Krakatoa also exploding, 7,000-foot ash plume over Sunda Strait. Merapi exploding. And no idea on the 11 confirmed fatalities among 75 hikers who were caught in a pyroclastic flow from Merapi. Suboptimal there. No idea if it is still erupting or not. No indication. So maybe erupting, may not. Who knows? Dacono's exploding, flight level 080 over Halmahera. Popocatépetl exploding, flight level 200 over central Mexico. It's a 20,000-foot volcanic plume of ash. Santiaguito in Guatemala exploding, flight level 140. No volcanic ash from Fuego. Nevado del Ruiz exploding, 21,000-foot ash plume. Not sure on Sangay, but Sabancaya is erupting. Flight level 240, it's a 24,000-foot volcanic ash plume. Please do not pole vault the caldera. There's a brief listing of the warnings and active volcanoes on the left. Next, moving to earthquake activity. And first, the past 90 days. There you go. There are the past 90 days in a convenient bar graph form, and here are the past 24 hours. We'll cite quakes of a 5 or greater magnitude, and it started things out pretty calm today until the Philippines continued to shake. So there's one at 1:55 this morning. Chile had a 5.0 there off the coast of Chile. That was at 1:58, only 3 minutes after the Philippine quake. So things pretty calm here over the past 24 hours. Another aftershock at Philippines. Papua New Guinea had a 5.0. Those look like they are aftershocks at Philippines, continuing to shake, following a series of 6 and 7 magnitude quakes, including one at a 7.6. Anyway, that's where the list ends, except for Vanuatu, that had a 5.0. That was at 21:07 Universal Time this evening. And let's get back to some space. Space, a frontier. These are the voyages of SDO in the past 24 hours, and multiple CME type events going on in the past 24. You might see one popping off there right in the center of the solar disk once again, also one in the northeast, and then one farther up in the northwest. At least 3 events going on there, quite obvious ones. And here are some closer views of a large prominence which is erupting as we create the video. So there's a crown prominence in the process of at least partially likely ejecting. Here's a little closer view of that massive filamentary prominence, tens of thousands of kilometers in height. So pretty sweet imagery, I would say. What about you? Let us know in the comments. And let's get to some space stats. So 10.7 centimeter radial flux now at 130. 130 solar flux units. There's the 1-year radial flux represented by the black line. Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard not forecasting any geomagnetic storms or geomagnetic unrest in the coming days. We'll have to see what happens there. Smooth sailing as far as space weather, according to NOAA. Next, the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space. And here is our geospace magnetosphere movie. Again, calm conditions here. Don't expect to see any fireworks for space weather activity. So that's what's been going on the last 4 hours to about 12 Earth diameters in terms of magnetohydrodynamic pressure. Here is the ground magnetic perturbations map showing what's going on at ground level there. Earth's changes to Earth's B field, or geospace delta B. The field going through the magnet, this magnet being Earth. Magnetic flux density for the past 4 hours from the ground. Calm conditions indeed. KP index currently at 2. KP2 is the geomagnetically calm condition. If you're not familiar with the KP index, you must be new to the channel. It is a global average of geomagnetism. Next, real-time solar wind data here from ACE and Discover. ACE showing a very diffuse but quite fast solar wind at about 550 kilometers a second, only about 1 proton per cubic centimeter for the solar wind density. And the Discover showing even more diffuse there, so only about 0.2 protons per cubic centimeter. For the solar wind density, solar wind velocity here, still over 500 kilometers per second. So very diffuse but kind of fast solar wind for the past 24 hours. Otherwise, pretty unremarkable. GOES magnetometers here are smooth. Again, no major space weather blowing through at the moment. And let's get to our top view ecliptic plane field plot. So Earth has recently moved into a North Pole current sheet where we expect to remain for at least a day or so. There is a little bit of an acceleration happening there in the next South Pole sector boundary crossing. You can see that some motion happening there. And yeah, I would tend to expect that to continue. So if we continue to see growth, especially in these new sunspots in the northeast, you can expect that South Pole current sheet to show up even more quickly. So we could see a sector boundary crossing showing as early as, I would say, tomorrow night. You can see that South Pole magnetic sector on the way. We'll play it through one more time for you. And then we'll show the line of sight ecliptic plane field plot. So there is our line of sight. Heat Miser told me to show you these videos, and fortunately, Heat Miser also sponsored my headwear for today. So, next, our line of sight field plot. Here, the sun's B field depicted in blue, polar fields in green for north and red for south, photosphere fields in grayscale. A great snapshot of what's going on the closest star as we get closer and closer, but not yet at solar maximum. Next, our line of sight coronal hole plot. And we do have North Pole coronal holes rotating in here on the east side. And here come coronal holes from SDO. So basically what's going on is these are north, these are south, and those are the polarities of the coronal holes. Here's a little closer view. We do have this new North Pole oriented coronal hole rotating in. It is somewhat equatorial there, but not super well defined, not nearly as well defined as the last South Pole oriented coronal hole, the one that's just setting over there on the right of your screen, the western limb. Some great filaments visible over there setting on the western limb as well. Those are suspended by sunspot 3500, which has been definitely an interesting sunspot. Speaking of which, let's get to sunspots in our daily space weather coverage. Sunspot number did come up a little bit here, but not as much as we expected. They haven't counted that new group yet, so you can expect another increase in sunspot number. We should see about 15 to 20 more sunspots by tomorrow's daily space weather video. We should be getting well over 150. I'll say 165, maybe 170. I'll say 165. Maybe only 160. Something like that, though. We'll be above 150 by tomorrow. Here's our flare probability monitor and scoreboard. Sunspot 3514 will be the name of that new sunspot just southeast of 3513. And 3513 remains the most likely place to see large flares. Let's take a look at sunspots here from SDO. There's the continuum. And that's where the flaring has been in the northeastern limb. So that is the scenario as far as the photosphere. Sunspots. But they're certainly not all that comprises a solar cycle, are they? Our regular viewers will tell you they certainly aren't. Energetic particles, not happening here at the moment. If we do see a large flare, we might see a spike in the proton flux, but so far, no solar energetic particles for an extended period, folks. So not out of the question to see one, not currently having one. X-ray flux here has come up quite a bit. The average X-ray flux is probably like a C3 or something for the past 24 hours. It's because of a lot of flares. And the largest one just happened at about 2150. $21.40? I don't know. 2145. And that was a nearly M2 class flare. Let's take a look at flares from SDO. That is 94 plus 131 angstroms. These images are using wavelengths that are specifically formulated to view solar flares. They have a higher temporal resolution. They take more images per minute than the other AIA wavelengths. So there's another 24-hour video there, 94 plus 131 angstroms. And here is an even closer view. If that wasn't close enough, this should be sufficiently zoomed in for you. It's about as far as we can zoom in without further magnification, without a resolution increase. So that's what's going on, or I should say without a resolution decrease. That's what's going on, and let's take a look at a star chart for all of you astrologers. Are there astrologers watching? Let us know in the comments. As cosmology begins to look more and more like astrology, this is what's going on overhead currently over Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. You want to make your own? Go to skyandtelescope.org, put in your zip code, and create your own star chart. Here's a solar system forecast starting with today, and we'll advance this to new moon. That's where things will be on the 13th, 1 week from today. We'll be celebrating the new moon with good sleep. And shout out to all of my reverse werewolves who sleep well at night, don't cannibalize humans, and are useful, great members of society who sleep at night and are up in the daytime, known as diurnal life forms. Anyway, today's astronomy photo of the day is not the cover of a Yes album. No, it's not at all. It's not even the cover of an Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, Howe album. Nope. It's actually a nebula located in the Carina Nebula, or the Carina Nebula, and it looks like a bunch of funky torches there. This is a composite series of images. I have no idea what the wavelengths are, but the Carina Nebula there, the Carina Nebula, informally known as Mystic Mountains, are what this is, and it's a bunch of pillars of dust and hydrogen gas and probably some other chemical signatures. I have no idea, but that's the astronomy photo of the day. Some great scenery there. Those are not torches from Dungeons & Dragons or a Yes album. Those are an actual nebula. Moving on to CMEs. Gotta have them. So let's have them, shall we? Here are yesterday's events. And there's a good one out of the west for sure. Let's get to today's. Here are 94 more frames from today, December 6th. So we saw at least 3 likely to be going on today. Let's see if we can count those. So there's one out of the north to start things out. There's another one out of the north. There's one looking like it's out of various locations. So let's take a look at the C3 as well here. See if we can get a bead on some of that activity. Again, multiple events, and one of these could be earthly directed. Let's get a little closer. So I think one of 3 of those are earthly directed. We'll show you why momentarily. It might look a little undefinitive until we show you the composites, and then I suspect it's going to be a little more clear. So it is this latest one that occurred sometime probably around 15 or 1600 Universal Time, not showing up well on the coronagraph, and that is often because it is directly headed toward Earth. Let's see what's going on. I suspect it is. And before we get to that, let's go to stereo A briefly. We'll show the difference imagery on the right, and there's the raw coronagraph on the left. So do we have images here? Do we have images? And it doesn't look so hot. Does the difference imagery show it? Not so well. So let's skip to our custom coronagraphs. Here's a 24-hour video. And let's see. There's one out of the north, a second smaller one out of the north, and then a third one looking like it's kind of out of the east a little bit. So here we'll get a little bit closer. So I think there's a stealthy CME here that has an earthly directed component. If you look right in here, you'll see some plasma motions happening there. Right in here, I sort of suspect that all of that plasma did not collapse. Here we've dropped the LASCO C3 and added 304 angstroms. Right in this area here, you'll see a Hyder flare, which is a temporary brightening caused by plasma splashing down. And a lot of times plasma will lift off and splash down at the same time, so it can be very hard to tell. And I suspect that that CME there has an earthly directed component. It's practically right in the center of the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk. Here's another view right in here. You see that filament? It's there, and then it's not there. Well, that could be because a portion of it is headed toward Earth. That is my best guess. And we are expecting another CME impact as a result of that sometime early in the day on the 10th, or maybe even late in the day on the 9th. But I would say early in the day on the 10th is my best guess for that. Likely another minor CME impact. Don't expect to see that cause more than a minor geomagnetic storm like a KP 5.3. Continuing on to our, what is next? Filaments. It's filament time. And you're going to see one of these filaments vanish. That is the one that could be headed our way. It's from right in here, that large filament there. I almost named it, but not quite. And now it's gone because it's headed toward Earth. The part that didn't collapse. I think I'm going to name that filament the Caitlyn Jenner filament. Let us know what you think in the comments. It looks like Caitlyn Jenner's eyebrow to me for some reason, so perhaps we'll have to name that one Caitlyn Jenner. What do you think? That's the ground-based solar observatory from Cerro Tololo, Spain. And multiple CMEs happening. You'll see one lift up here. Right in there. That one's gone. And then you see this one blast off. This one right here. And then there's also one from the northeast. We'll also show the grayscale image because it shows prominences. And there may be some more active regions here about to rise. We see prominences in the southeast and the northeast. So perhaps some new sunspots there about to rise. By the way, if you want to name filaments after living people, make sure you do it over on Twitter. And here's the latest. This CME is currently occurring. Massive crown prominence popping off there just in the past 3 hours. That's the GOES 18 SUVI. Good times. There's the full zoom for you. The great wide field of view there from the GOES 18. Time for bonus features, and we're starting out with satellite charging hazards. We have them once again, the minor surface charging type charging hazards there over the western Indian Ocean, moving into the Middle East and East Africa, places like Somalia there, expecting some minor surface charging, low energy electrons building up on the outside of spacecraft. GOES electron flux here making it into the warning levels for the GOES 18, GOES 16, not so much. Next is our 1 year graph. There's the 1 year electron flux. And coming up off the floor here as forecast, NOAA almost right on there with the forecast. Expecting a further uptick in the coming days. I would tend to agree with that. So uptick in electron flux coming. Next, the layer where it's measured. It's measured at the F layer of the ionosphere. Never fear the ionosphere. It's perfectly fine. Here is the ionosphere's F layer, the bridge between Earth and space. And again, it was geomagnetically calm conditions right now, so that's what's going on. Here's the anomaly in megahertz from a 30-day median. And we apologize for any non-apocalypse signals. We're terribly sorry that these do not signal the apocalypse. If you were looking for an apocalypse forecast, please watch a different channel, especially one that runs a cult. If you're watching a channel that runs a cult, then I'm sure they will do a much better job convincing you of nonsense in order to get you on board with whatever nonsense they're selling. Anyway, here's the latest image, 2245 universal time for the ionogram, 2245 universal time anomalygram. Next, the WHAM, the whole atmosphere model, the global ionosphere nowcast. It's showing you electron contents on the left and maximum usable frequency on the right. This is where we're transitioning from the ionosphere to the total electron content. So there's a great snapshot, the global ionosphere nowcast, complete with time and date stamps up top. Next, total electron content by itself. There it is over North America. These are the most likely places to see GPS errors. So that, my friends, foes and neutrals, is what's going on. And we'll close out space weather with the latest intensitygram and latest colorized magnetogram. By the way, don't forget to follow us over on Twitter. Thanks to our holy cripes, 2 new followers on Twitter. Oh my God, that's insane. Make sure you follow us over there. You'll see stuff you don't see anywhere else. And if you enjoy the content, make sure you press the like button. Tell your friends and foes about us. You know, there are a lot of highly underwatched videos on the channel. Check out our shorts for details. Once again, thanks to our YouTube subscribers. In all seriousness, cheers. Here come the latest intensitygram and the latest magnetogram. We're going to skip right to the area where the action's been happening. And there you have it. That is a beta gamma class sunspot group. Is it beta gamma delta? I'm not so convinced. I think it's only beta gamma class. So it could be a forecast for larger flares about to come from that sunspot group. So it's been certainly quite active so far. A great example of how you don't need to have a large sunspot to have major solar flares. Anyway, here comes the meteorology segment. We're going to start things out with sea surface temperature anomaly, and that is surface winds. So that's your sea surface temperature anomaly for the North Atlantic. Here is the Arctic. Sea surface temperature and surface winds for the full Atlantic Ocean. There is the Southern Ocean. Anomalously cold there at springtime, all around Antarctica. So that's an interesting signal indeed. Indian Ocean's next. And here is the mighty, mighty large Pacific Ocean. Trying to fit the whole thing on. There we go. That's a pretty good view. And let's move to our global cryosphere watch map. Yeah, I want to do a little update on what's going on with snow, so here we are. Welcome to Global Cryosphere Watch. Let's see what's going on with snow. First, the snow extent. That's the 2-dimensional snowfall. And you can see it's kind of right in the middle there, and in the plus or minus 1 standard deviation range. It looks like a little bit below normal, but in the plus or minus 1 standard deviation. Snow water equivalent is well above 1 standard deviation above normal for this time of year, which means a lot of snow has fallen, just not over a lot of 2-dimensional space. Basically meaning that some deep snow has fallen in some locations. And then last but not least, the snow mass balance here, over 1 standard deviation above normal, where it has been for the past, is it 7 years now? So quite high on the snow mass balance there, according to Global Cryosphere Watch. Next, we'll show clouds and fog over the Americas, as it clouds up once again in Brazil. Seems to do it every night there. So that is our shortwave radiation map. And we're going to show the warm front that's moving across the U.S. So across the north central part of the U.S. right now, we're getting a warm front that's making its way over toward the Great Lakes. So this area right here is going to be warmer than normal, and this area over here is going to be a little colder than normal until that warm air gets a chance to move to the east. That's what's going on. Heat wave moving across the U.S. Next, major rain coming in the west coast. And this is the next 3 days, folks. So this is another couple of inches of rain here coming through. Over 3 forecasted by the Euro model at the border between California and Oregon at the ocean. There is the GFS forecast for the next 3 days of rainfall. So rain continuing for the next 3 days there, as if it wasn't moist enough already. More is coming. Here's your weather.gov map, and you'll see a bunch of flooding alerts up there. Also some freeze watches there in Florida, frost advisories. If your location is lit, head to weather.gov and click your location. Those are too many counties for us to cover, so here come some forecasts. Starting with the GFS, pressure and precipitation. So that's the GFS 72-hour pressure and precipitation to be exact. Here is your GFS total accumulated precipitation in inches. Same period of time as 72-hour. Lots of rain. Here is the GFS 72-hour total accumulated snow depth change in inches. So quite a bit of snow here coming to Washington, Oregon, California, Nevada, Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, even some in New Mexico, and some even making its way into Texas. Also some snow coming to Pennsylvania. Oh, yeah. If you want to hear maniacal laughter, go join us over on Instagram, instagram.com/smashomash. Next, temperature anomaly forecast in degrees Celsius, the GFS 72-hour model for it. As the warm front makes its way to the east, cyclists are, well, they're going to be a little disappointed because a lot of that's going to be rainy weather, but at least it'll be warm, rainy weather. What can you say? By the way, those forecasts come from tropicaltidbits.com, so go over there and give Levi Cohen a round of applause. Give him, I don't know, give him something. Go follow him over on Twitter or something. Tropicaltidbits.com is where the forecast came from. And next, some lightning. This is the past about 10 hours. We had some lightning off the East Coast and some in Mexico. And plenty in South America. Let's take a look at a real-time lightning map from lightningmaps.org. Lightningmaps.org. Quite low lightning levels at the moment, only 23 strikes per minute. That's where they've been for the last hours in terms of lightning strikes. We'll close out with U.S. Doppler radar, clouds and fog, and water vapor. There's the full 50 state. Here's the lower 48. That's vertical motion in the air column. This is space-based shortwave radiation showing clouds and fog, and this is space-based water vapor showing the dry air, the moist air, and everything in between. Here's your recap. As we bring the weather from space all the way down to the lower 48. Your space and Earth weather together. That should clear things up. If your Doppler is unclear, break out the water vapor map, and I'm breaking out the ladder because it's time to head back to the bunker. I'm going back to the bunker again. I'm really spooked in space because I was told by a charlatan. Oh.